Okay, welcome everybody out to our marketing broadcast tonight. So I've got some stuff that I want to talk about as it relates to doing a product description for your individual products on your e-commerce site. And I've actually spent a considerable amount of time today just preparing some of these remarks for you guys, because for a long time now I've told all of you who do a website that's selling individual products, the process is usually this. I say to you guys, get your products added onto your site, copy and paste over from Amazon or your supplier or whoever that is. Tonight, just for our example, I'm going to just assume for a minute that Amazon is my supplier. I'm going to bring up Amazon here. I found a product that looks like this. If you guys can see that okay. Assuming that my business is selling, I've used oil diffusers before in some of my examples, so I'm going to use it again today. This is an oil diffuser found on Amazon. Prior to the webinar starting, I uploaded it onto this sort of template website to begin our discussion. So what I did is I logged in as an admin on this site, and I just sort of copied and pasted this product over. Exact same title, exact same image, and exact same description from Amazon. Okay, so really just took this product and plopped it over onto our example site today. Now, one of my goals, right, as an owner of an e-commerce site, is to see each one of my individual product pages rank well in Google, right? Why is that one of my goals? Why would I like to see that happen? Why don't I just try to direct all of my traffic to my homepage? What's the use of spending time on each individual product page for marketing? What would you guys say who are here live? Or is there a use? Maybe some of you guys don't worry about advertising your individual product pages. Well, if you think about it, the interesting thing is an e-commerce site is mainly made of product pages, isn't it? I mean, after all, you only have one home page. You've got, what, 10 or 15 category pages, but then you might have 250 individual product pages, right? The vast majority of almost every single one of your e-commerce sites is product pages. So it's pretty essential that each of your individual product pages rank well in Google, because if they don't, you're going to be leaving a lot of traffic on the table. The thing that's amazing to me, knowing that if you guys understand that, and if my clients understand that, here's what's amazing to me. You guys don't put very much time and energy into making your product pages really well done. You slap them together pretty quickly. And I actually recommend when you first start, adding products to your site that you do just that. I usually tell nearly all of you guys, this is almost a universal recommendation. I tell you to quickly get an image in, maybe just one picture, just like I did here on this site, copy the title, copy the description, mark up the price a little bit, and move on to the next one. Why do I tell you guys to do that? Why are we not putting a ton of time into making these pages really nice right now? Why are we just sort of hammering out the site and getting it done? Just want to make sure you guys understand the process here, because that doesn't seem like very good advice, especially because we fall into the possibility of Google saying that we're just putting duplicate content onto the internet. Yeah, we do it for sure. That's exactly why we do it. I'm getting some comments coming in just saying, hey, we do that so we can get the website up, and then we go back while we're doing other marketing and we improve it, don't we? if you guys added 150 products to your site and then went back and spent a ton of time improving each product page, you know, it'd feel like you'd almost never get your site up because it'd take you so long to do that. So we like you to get it up, launch it, get it out there, and then while it's out there, go back and individually improve each one of these pages. Okay, that's the methodology behind it. Now, to improve these pages, one of the biggest things, and this is all leading up to what I wanted to talk to you guys about tonight. One of the biggest things you guys tend to struggle with is your product description. Okay, now if I scroll down here, I know this is probably awfully small, and a lot of you guys can't see this, but that's okay. I don't need you to see the finer points here. I just need you to see that this is the product description that I just circled, okay? Now that product description is the exact same product description as this one from Amazon, right? Now that wouldn't matter to a lot of you guys. You'd think, well, that's fine because maybe it was really well written and it sounded nice and there's no reason to change it. But Google does have a duplicate content issue, okay? This site right here, this is kind of a cool SEO site that I look at every once in a while. There was a really well done article, and I'm not going to read this to you, but I can sort of scroll down and show you just the amount of information that we've spent going through over the last few days about Google's duplicate content issues. There's videos and commentary. Google actually, so I'm scrolling down this page just to show you there's a lot to it and there's a lot of analysis out there. Let me Google the page. I think this might be it right here. Yeah, so this is from Google itself. Duplicate content. It says duplicate content generally refers to substantive blocks of content within or across domains that either completely match other content or are appreciably similar. That's the definition of duplicate content. So it's saying content across domains, meaning if there's content here on Amazon that's substantial enough, and it's taken in a big block and simply put onto another domain like yours, that could be considered duplicate content. And without reading through the whole policy and talking about some of the impact, I'll just tell you this: Google doesn't particularly love duplicate content. Now, this article that I was reading, and just in some of the research we've done, suggests that really you're not going to get penalized for having duplicate content. That there's been this myth peddled out there that if we do what I just taught you to do to get your site up, which is to quickly copy and paste content from your supplier over onto your product pages and then launch your site and then worry about changing it later, that maybe we're going to be penalized or we may get penalized by Google, in other words. And what's being suggested here is that you're not going to get penalized, but you're also not going to do yourself any favors for gaining any rank inside Google. And the terminology that Google throws out there, I'm going to write it right here because we're going to repeat this a whole bunch while we're talking today, is the value add. Okay, Google's looking for quote unquote value add with your content. So meaning, like, let's look at this in terms of our diffuser here. Right, we're selling the exact same diffuser as is shown on Amazon right here on our site. What's the value add on our site versus Amazon? What's going to be different about the way it's presented on our site versus the way it was originally displayed on Amazon? That's the question you have to ask yourself. And if you can't say that there's really anything different or better about your product that you put on your site, then what's the incentive for Google to want to rank you as high or higher than your supplier or wherever you got the original content? But there's not a lot of incentive. And the issue that I've seen as of late from a lot of you, and I think it's born out of a good place. It's born out of you guys like wanting to hustle and get your site going, is you gloss over this idea of rewriting your product descriptions and doing a really good job of it. Instead, you want to know what happens is some of you try to sort of shortcut it, okay? So take Amazon's original. I'm going to zoom in on this. So hopefully you can see this a bit better. It's still going to come out small, but that's okay. We're not going to look at all the little intricacies here. But this is the original. Google knows this is the original. So like I said, if you copy this, they'll know that it's copied. But here's what's worse, guys. This is what's worse, and this has been substantiated by quite a bit of research. If you were to go through this and simply just copy and paste it, but after you copy and paste it, what you decided to do is just replace some of the words with other words. So for example, one of this says something like, I'll read this line to you right here. It says, just gently take off the cap, add water and essential oil, enjoy high quality life. That's the sentence. Some of you, deciding that you need to hurry through this assignment, take this same line and say, just gently take off the cap, add water and essential oil, and enjoy. Instead of high quality, you switch that out for a better life. And then you say, okay, that's different, right? I changed that enough. And then you move on to the next sentence, maybe change a word or two there, and move on to the next sentence and change a word or two there, and so on and so forth. And then you say to yourself, okay, I'm done. Maybe you added your target keyword phrase a few times into the text, and you decided that you were good to go. The problem with that, guys, is that if Google sees that you're trying to manipulate them by doing that, and they know that you are, because if you're just trying to change the occasional word, they feel like they're being manipulated. That is when you can run into an issue with getting penalized. And if you get penalized in Google, that just means that you're on their bad side and they drop your rankings pretty substantially. Years ago, eBay got penalized for some different SEO issues with Google, and as part of that penalty, immediately a lot of their rankings started to drop, and it hurt their business tremendously. And that's how Google tells you to play by the rules. They simply just drop your ranking. So my worry, and this is why I'm bringing this up tonight, is that too many of you guys are doing this and calling it a rewritten description. And I ask myself, and I ask you to just consider right now, really, what's the value add? If Google's looking for some sort of added value to your site and your pages, but your quote unquote value add is just a couple of changed words, that's not really going to fly, is it? And you're going to get hit with a penalty at that point. So I want us to just take a minute and just talk about what you can actually do to these product pages to create added value. And I'm going to have you guys brainstorm with me. We're going to make just a short list of what we can do better here, and then I'm going to invite you guys to do better and to make some of those changes. I've missed some comments, so let me see if I Let me see if I can answer a few of the questions. And go ahead while we're talking here in the comments box. You can put in some of your ideas as to what we can do differently to add value, and I'll answer some questions. Okay, Timothy, you say you were under the impression that there were character limits on your product title and product description. There are if you're talking about a meta title. Meta titles and meta descriptions do have character limits. But those are in the back end in your SEO. We're talking about your actual description right here, the one that's actually displaying on your product page. That doesn't have a limit of any kind. You can do that as long as you want. How does Google consider ingredients or prepackaged kits? Is it okay to copy and paste the list? Yeah, so it's actually not it's not an awful thing to do some copy and paste. And I always have this conversation when it comes to descriptions. There are times that you have to say exactly what it is the same way. And ingredients is a great example. If you're selling some sort of a food product, let's say you're selling a bag of dog food, and it's got a list of ingredients, right? You can't go in there and change that, can you? Those ingredients are what they are. In fact, you shouldn't change that. But what you could do a little differently is rather than just copying and pasting it over from the site, which, by the way, if you just copy and paste it over into Volusion, it carries with it some of the code of the original site, and that's even more of a dead giveaway that it's been copied and pasted. I would actually recommend that you rewrite the specs of the product or the ingredients, and you put it yourself into Volusion. And maybe instead of it being just a list of ingredients, you make a bulleted list on your Volusion page or a numbered list, or you just format it a little bit differently. But sometimes you have to write it exactly the same way, and that's okay. You can do that. But you still have to ask yourself, how am I going to add value? What's my quote-unquote value add to the page? If I'm copying a substantial portion of the description and I'm going to keep that, what else can I do to the page to make it better? And that's what we'll talk about. Yeah, Pam, the simple answer, and by the way, I have gotten your emails. I'll get back to you real soon. The simple answer is, yeah, you create your own description, don't you? You really rewrite it completely, and you don't take anything copied and pasted. You write it in your own words. It's just like the old research paper that they used to write growing up in classes. You didn't copy it onto your page and change a few words. You actually looked at your encyclopedia or your resource, whatever that was, and you changed. I mean, you basically wrote your own thing based on that, but nothing was plagiarized or copied. Bob and Nancy, you say, really, if you aren't getting ranking, it is hurting you. Not going forward is going backward, don't you think? Yeah, sure. I don't think it's hurting you at the beginning when you're just trying to quickly launch your site, right? That's not hurting you because you're trying to get your site up. But you're right. If they're not rewritten and done well, do you stall the possibility of getting rankings? Yeah, you bet you do. And this isn't something that's always been the case. I remember years ago, one of my very first websites was this wind chime site. I think I've told this story before. I'm going to give you the condensed version of it, but I had a supplier for these really, really high-end, nice wind chimes. They were based out of somewhere in Washington. Just beautiful wind chimes, right? And I made my site. This was probably over 10 years ago. Made my site, added a bunch of products, and then I found this article online that talked about like how to clean your wind chimes, how to take care of them and clean them, just some maintenance guidelines for them. And I just copied and pasted this article onto my site. And when I would look at my statistics, I got a tremendous number of visitors, a lot of traffic to this article, and it was 100% copied and pasted. And it was crazy. And in my mind, I'm like, hey, well, that was easy. I'm just going to copy and paste all kinds of stuff and then just throw it on my site, which is what I did, and that worked back in the day. It's just now there's so many websites out there, and that strategy got manipulated that people can't do that anymore. And in fact, Google's so aware of that they're going to penalize, or at least just not rank you well if you have a lot of copied and pasted content. Not penalize like we talked about, but just not rank you well. Okay. Janice, you say, how do you know if Google has penalized your descriptions? You know if you're just not ranking. Doesn't mean your descriptions are penalized. You can never really know, right? What I'm telling you, you'll know you're being penalized if you just change a couple of words and hope that counts as a description. Then I can almost guarantee you probably will be. But, you can never know, because it's not like we can go and ask Google, hey, our page isn't ranking, why? And they'll tell us. But I'm telling you, because this is such a big ranking factor, if you're not doing it, it is preventing you from ranking, for sure. So let me explain it this way. I'm getting more questions about the code being a problem. Let me edit this page really quick and just show you something. When you copy and paste from your supplier, there's the potential of bringing over negative code that you don't want to bring over, right? That's what we've been talking about. Okay, so here's my product page. Okay. So let me show you exactly what I did on this page. Okay, let's pretend that I'm creating this product for the first time. I go to Amazon, and just like we talked about a second ago, I just highlight their. Let me zoom out just a little bit. I highlight their description just like this, and I copy it. And then I go back to my site here, and I paste it in. Okay, copy and paste just like that. And then I save it, right? Well, if you want to see all the garbage code that I just brought over, look at this button right here in your Volusion. That's your HTML button. Okay, I just circled that for you guys. Now I'm going to click on it. And I'm going to zoom in on this so you can see what I'm talking about. This is the garbage code that I'm talking about. Rather than it just being text, look at this code. UL class equals unordered list, vertical is spacing none, style, border, margin, 8 pixels. This is all code right now. And what's this code? This is coming from Amazon. Padding, font family, quote, Amazon, Ember, quote. You see what I'm talking about? If I scroll throughout this entire mess of stuff that I copied and pasted, now you may say, well, wait a minute, you didn't copy and paste this. Well, I did. I'm now looking in the code of what I copied and pasted, and it took all the formatting from Amazon. There's just a ton of this garbage in here. I don't want that at all. I don't want that at all here. Even if I'm going to go back and change all of this, I don't want it, because a lot of times, watch this, if I highlight all this, let's highlight all of this and delete it out. Sometimes I still have some code in there, even though it's blank here. So my advice to you guys, when you're copying and pasting descriptions in, don't just paste them in. Copy them just like we did on Amazon, just like this. But before you paste it in, click on the HTML button once, paste it, and then click on the HTML button again. And that will eliminate the code from showing up. That's the way to do it, James. That's how you strip your code. That's the easy way, so you don't have to paste it in another form, another program. Same with Microsoft Word, guys. You don't write out your product descriptions in Word and then copy and paste them over here, because it will take some of the code from Word and put it into your Volusion site. We want clean code, so we want all of our content to originate in Volusion. Does that make sense? You type it out in Volusion completely. Or if you are going to copy and paste, initially you copy and paste it like we did, but you do it with pressing the HTML button first. Right? Do you guys follow along with that? Because if you can do that, you eliminate the code, and now I have this raw content here that I can kind of use as my basis, and then I can edit and change and, you know, put my own unique stamp on, you know, that information. So if we're going to go over here and list stuff that we're going to add value to, first thing we want to add value to is just our product descriptions, right? And we want to make sure there's no code from the supplier, right? We want to make it our own. And then in addition to that, we need to rewrite. Use different formatting. You know, I'm going to say maybe use numbered or bulleted lists, bold, underline, make it skimmable. All right, I don't even know if that's a word, skimmable, but you know what I mean, right? You can skim through it real easily. That's how you can add value. This product description is not bad if you read through all of it. They've actually got it in a bulleted list, but maybe you format it differently. Maybe you have a nice introductory paragraph that highlights some of the main points, and then you do a numbered list below that highlighting some of the key features and word it differently and really add value that way, okay? Now that, I don't know, I guess I say add value loosely because really you're just rewording and changing up the look of the description. Where you can actually add value to it, I think, is, you know, you can find product reviews and use those in your description somehow. So, for example, Amazon's great with this because it's easy to find product reviews here. There's over 800 product reviews here on this particular product page. And I can go through here and I can read what people are saying about it. A lot of times a product description is simply just written by the manufacturer and then used by different retailers like Amazon. But one way you could add value is you can take some of the commentary from real people who have bought the product, who are talking about it here in the reviews, and not just on Amazon. Sometimes you can find reviews for products on other sites, and you can. Amazon's not the only one that has reviews out there. And you take that information, and that's how you add value, because you add some of those thoughts into your description. Now, you're not copying and pasting parts of the reviews, but if you're seeing this item reviewed a lot and a lot of like the positives, let's see what people are saying here. This one says, love this little diffuser. We use it almost every day. This diffuser is quiet, and I use it along my bedside. If you see reviews that talk about the sound being really quiet and it's great to use at night or with sleeping kids or whatever, and I actually don't think, here, I mean, I've got to read a little closer, but as I'm skimming here, I don't think it says anything about that in this description. So how are you adding value? Well, based on a little more research you did, you found out it's particularly quiet. And so in your description, which is going to make you different and add value, is you're going to say something like, hey, just so you know, this diffuser is unique because it's extremely quiet. So it's great to use in your kids' rooms at night, in your room while you're sleeping, because you barely even notice. Put it on your nightstand and try it for yourself. Amazon doesn't have that in their product description. That's just down there below in their reviews. You would then become the only website that has that unique take on this product, which makes your description add value and be a little bit different. And that's taking your description to the next level. I know that seems like a silly, small thing, but in the world of selling products, you have to do those little things to try to get a little bit of an edge in Google. And I think your customers will appreciate your extra bit of research, because that could actually help you sell the item, right? And you sell it better because you put it in a format that's easy to read, and you're adding more value that way. Okay, here's another thing you could do to add value outside of just the product description. If you can add other images that showcase this product a little bit better, that's helpful. Okay. Now, Amazon has several pictures. Initially, I told you guys, just add one picture so you can hurry and get your products up. But you may want to consider going back and adding multiple images. It doesn't give you an edge against Amazon in this case, because they have other pictures too, but it'll make you better than some of your other competitors who are likely just using one image. So you can improve that there. You can also improve the title. If you're just copying and pasting the Amazon title, a lot of times you'll notice about Amazon titles, they're just chock full of keywords, because one of the ranking factors in Amazon is keywords in a title, and so people keyword stuff their titles all the time. You could condense your title a little bit and make sure it's not exactly the same, and that sometimes can be helpful for your rankings as well. So those are a few things. Let me just make sure I haven't missed any of your comments here. Yeah, good. No, I haven't missed any of your guys' comments. If I have, say something again. But does that make sense, guys? If you will take the time and just do a better job on your descriptions and really actually do rewrites, that's the difference sometimes between getting rankings and not. Now, I'm not going to stand here today and guarantee that this is going to get you rankings. I can't, because there's more factors that play into that than just how you do your descriptions. But I can tell you it'll give you a much better chance. And at least we know that's not going to be the problem, because months from now, when you contact me saying, Trevor, I'm not getting very good rankings on my products, I'm gonna scrutinize your work a little bit. And if it's sloppy and quick and quite obviously done just to look a little different, but not to really truly add value, you might be hurting yourself instead of helping yourself with your sloppy work. I've watched some of you guys take time and rewrite beautiful descriptions, and I'm going to empathize with you a little bit right now. I appreciate the fact that it is time-consuming and it's boring and monotonous. It's not my favorite thing to do. You can actually go out there and hire help if you don't want to rewrite them yourself. But if we're going to all do this on a budget, you at least need to do a lot of or some of it yourself, right? There's places to outsource that kind of work, but for most of you guys don't have the budget for it when you first start to pay a professional writer to rewrite your stuff. So you got to hustle like the rest of us that are running a business on a budget, and you got to do some of this stuff yourself. So I'm not going to pretend like this is easy. And when I've told some of you guys that I think this is your answer, or at least one of the things you can do to help your pages rank better in Google, I've gotten some pushback, and I've gotten some of you say, "What? That's great, but that's just going to take me too long. I don't have time for that. I got to be getting rankings right away." Well, there's no cutting quarters here, guys. You got to do this stuff. You're going to make it work. So there's my advice. There's other things you can do to product pages. You can drive direct links into product pages from outside sources. That's a big factor. You can encourage people to write reviews on your product pages, which is helpful. There's other things you can do to add value and to help your pages get rankings, but I really tonight just wanted to mainly address the description issue. And then one other thing, whatever is written here in Amazon as a description, there may be other sites that have descriptions written for the same product that are a little different and unique. And sometimes you can sort of pick and choose a little bit from these other places and bring them in and write one really well done description on your site. So that's something to consider too. It's an investment that'll pay. I can almost guarantee that. So good luck working on this, guys. I hope that's helpful. Let me make sure I got everything. Patty, you said when you rewrite content completely and then press the code button, there is code, but just new code. So I can't tell going back if it's from my supplier or me, right? Yeah, that's tough. So if you initially copied from your supplier and pasted in there and then went and edited yourself, there might be a little bit of code from both. You're exactly right. It'll be hard to tell the difference. There's no doubt about it. If you changed enough, you might be okay, Patty. But for all of you guys that are doing this from scratch, like, eliminate that possibility altogether and do what I showed you earlier, and that'll clean it out completely. You're probably all right, Patty. Like you saw what I did. When I deleted it out and rewrote it, there was only a little bit of code in there, and if the majority of it is new original content and code, they're gonna take that into consideration. There's no question about it. Again, in the duplicate content policy, they're looking for substantive blocks of content that are copied and duplicated, and as long as the majority is, you're probably fine. Good. Glad you guys enjoyed that. Thank you for coming along. I appreciate you guys being here. Have a happy 4th, and we'll see you guys all next time.